and thank you for watching the forum. I'm your host, Ashley Tate, here with my co-host, Christy Largent, and today we're going to be learning about the Job Training Center, and we have our guest, Carrie Frashad, and she is the Manager of Training and Development, and I can barely read my own writing. And then we also have Demetra Jones, and she is the Career Development Consultant and / Program Coordinator. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So it's really awesome to have you guys here because I feel like we're going to learn a lot about job training. You guys are based in Tehama County and Nevada County, servicing both of those counties. And then, so tell us a little bit about the Workforce Training Center and tell us Job Training Center.
What do you do?
Yeah,
Tell us about you.
Yes.
So in the early 80s, a couple of small counties joined together and decided that as a small county, you don't have much of a voice in the spectrum of California. So they created a consortium, and the title of that is NORTEC. And our goal as a consortium is to provide workforce development services to, today we've grown to 11 counties. Wow. And we help people find jobs, we help people keep jobs, we help employers fill vacant positions, we help people identify what it is that they are really supposed to be doing in the workforce and kind of capture that passion that's inside of them and give them a platform to use it. And it's really fantastic work.
So how do you work with the employers, and then how do you work with customers coming in? So employers can come to you, and then someone who's out of a job or who's looking for a new job or a new position can come to you as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So our services start with the employer.
Okay.
They're our number one focus. We identify what their needs are. Sometimes it's on an individual basis. So they come in the door and they say, I needed to hire yesterday or last week or last month, and I really need somebody. Other times we're actually looking at a broader view and we're identifying larger needs, either regional needs or in the county where there are huge skills gaps. And we see that across the whole nation. There's gigantic skills gaps, but in our area, sometimes they're a little bit different. And so we work on both levels. One, to identify the need, the immediate need, and help those businesses, but then we also are strategic in planning programs and services that are going to help long-term fill the needs for the employers. And then we have a career center, which is where we get the other part of it, which is the applicants. So we have, in the 11 counties, each county has a career center that's open to the public, usually about 9 to 5, and we have a job board that is not all of the jobs in the county, but it is positions that we're currently recruiting for, and we screen.
Did you say 9 counties?
11.
11 counties have this?
Yeah.
They have a facility for people looking for jobs.
We do, and the funding that actually sponsors what we do is across the whole nation. So any state that you go to, any county that you go to, there is something of this sort where the whole goal is to help them find employment.
So what are some of the programs that you guys offer to kind of help with, if I was out of a job and I came to you, what would be some of the programs that you'd offer?
So we do have, we have our career center, as she said, and so we have computer services, we have resume writing assistance. We also offer workshops. So if you have, say you're new to job search, we work with people who have maybe been in employment for about 20 years and now they find themselves unemployed, and so they're trying to figure out how to even do that. And it sounds pretty common sense, but the way that it is nowadays, I mean, it's a lot about networking and a lot of things, the day where you could walk in the door, shake somebody's hand and have a job offer are kind of gone. So it's teaching them how to maneuver that, and then how to write a resume, how to interview. That's a really big hurdle for a lot of people. They're not comfortable, with that. They don't know how to research or what questions to anticipate. So
do you also do that for youth as well? Like, is that something that's offered to, I think a lot of high schoolers or, young kids or young adults coming out could use that as well? And so what type of programs do you have for them? Like, do you have anything specific for youth, or do they just come in and get some of the same things?
Yeah, we have a youth program that is really geared towards work experience. Oh, wow. So young adults, as they come into the workforce, we know that there are some challenges and some barriers, and our youth program is really geared towards underprivileged youth. So it's finding businesses to place them in to really get their bearings and learn what it means to work. And not in a not in a challenging way, but there's going to be obstacles, and that supervisor's there to mentor them and to guide them through it. And then we have a case manager at Job Training Center who then comes in and facilitates any of the challenges that do come up.
Right. How many kids are in that program?
So between the adult dislocated worker and youth program, in one given year, we'll serve about 300 participants. And in the youth, I think they range between like 30 and 40 a year.
That's great.
So it is a little smaller because they do require a lot more hand-holding.
Absolutely.
In our adult program, we have similar services, kind of adding on to what Demetra was talking about in training. So we also provide occupational skills training. We provide on-the-job training. So we partner with a business, and they may have a skills gap. That candidate may not have everything that they need. So we partner with them for the onboarding process. We give them all the tools they need to create a solid training plan. We do the performance reviews for the first 3 to 6 months.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So do those people that go on for the training, say they're on the job training program, or they're the work experience? No, do they get paid, or is it more like an internship, or can they do both, or how is that set up?
All of the services that are work-based are paid.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in the adult program, the employer sets the wage because it's their employee. We're just helping to train. So whatever that employer was planning on paying, we're going to help subsidize the wages at 50%. For the youth program,
Wait, go back a minute.
Yes, I know. I was like, wait a minute.
You saw that reaction. Go back a minute. Okay.
So yeah, we partner with the business, and they name the rate because it's their employee, and then we come alongside to bridge the gap of that skills, and then we reimburse them 50% of their wages as they're in training. Yeah. It's a fantastic program. It's on-the-job training.
We got to get this down because there are probably lots of businesses watching that could use employees, because there are lots of small businesses that need employees but can't necessarily afford to have a full-time employee, or don't want to take on, the employer legal issues and all that stuff. So one more time, you are saying that, I just got to make sure I get this right. I want to make sure you all hear it correctly too. So you're saying that if someone comes on and they work for them from your program, that you will reimburse the employer 50% of what they choose to pay the.
Yeah. When I started my job, it took me a while to actually absorb the fact that this is what I get to do.
Yes.
Like I actually get to help a business do what some businesses struggle with.
Right.
You know, the onboarding process is not easy, and the turnover rate in that first year is really high. So we get to help them increase retention. We get to help the employee engagement so that not only are they there, but they're productive and they love what they do.
And you're also, an interesting caveat to that is that you're also sort of training the employer.
Very much so.
Because especially with small businesses, you see this huge gap. Like they're a plumber and they're super good at being a plumber, and then they say, oh, I think I'll open my own plumbing business. But they don't know anything about running a plumbing business. So when you guys come in and help, as far as what do you do for an employee? What are some things that you can provide for your employee? How do you help grow your employee? And then on top of that, you say, we will help fund this position for the first year? Is that how long?
It depends on the position, and it depends on the candidate. But right now it's ranging between 3 and 6 months.
So that's a great start, because it just gives them that extra little push. So do employers need to qualify with you to be part of that program? How does that work?
Yeah, so we do have a request form, and what we're looking for is we want to make sure they have workers' comp. We want to make sure that they really care about training. Some businesses aren't in a position where they actually can handhold a new employee. And although they need to grow their business, they're going to let them kind of sink or swim. That isn't the right business that we're looking for. We're looking for businesses who want to come alongside a new employee and train them in a new profession. It is a fantastic program, and as we work with the businesses, it's so fascinating to just find those little missing links. Like if you have a disgruntled employee, what do I do? And they just make a call. And they say, Job Training Center, hey, this is a really sticky situation. Can you help? And Demetra has been involved in many situations like that, and actually just recently, so it's very fresh. But we get to really be the advocate to make this relationship work. And sometimes we get to make it so that we help them part ways.
It's not a fit.
No, and we don't force it to be a fit. We just help it.
So can businesses who are not in your program, say they're having some challenges with their employees, can they call and get information from you guys as well?
Yeah,
like
great,
help
great question.
and
Good question.
We
Yeah.
have a business services department that is dedicated to any human resources question, concern, any kind of troubleshooting, and most importantly, we know the resources. We have all of the state resources, we have all the national resources, we know the
that's so
laws,
easy.
we
Yeah.
know wage and hour, we understand.
And so when a small business calls you and says, I don't have one of your employees, or I'm not,
Yep.
but I need this help, you can help.
Exactly.
And how much does it cost?
It is free of charge because we all pay taxes.
Is everyone just dancing around their
Yay!
seats right now?
In our career center, we have a bell, and I love it because when somebody actually gets a job, because that is our #1 goal,
Yeah.
for somebody to find a full-time, hopefully permanent position
Right.
that is going to actually lead to self-sufficiency. We want to give people wages that are going to help them put food on their table and help their kids go to college. And we have a bell in our career center, and we ring it when somebody gets a job, and the whole career center and all of our staff, we just
that's so
celebrate
neat.
because that's the heart of what we do.
So do you, and I don't know if this is a good question or not, but do you compete at all with, and when I say compete, it's very loose, but do you compete at all with other staffing businesses?
Great question. In the early years of Job Training Center, we shifted our focus from a client focus, which is very common in the social services arena, to a business focus.
Okay.
And as we began to serve the business, the question was, are we going to be competing with these employers that we're
Right.
trying to help, which is
Right.
the staffing agencies? And what we found is that there's actually a huge difference on what we can provide. The staffing agencies are providing all of the human resources, meaning they're doing the new employee handbooks, they're doing all of the payroll, they're doing the drug screening, they're doing the background checks. They have an applicant pool that's set up to just be kind of shipped out on a regular. And our services are more.
Carrie, I'm sorry, I'm
no,
running
it's
out
okay.
of time.
It's okay,
So
your
how
show.
can people find out about you? Where can they get more information?
Great. So if you were interested in finding one of our career centers in the 11 county region, it'd be www.ncen.org. If you wanted to find about Job Training Center in Tehama or Nevada, it'd be jobtrainingcenter.org.
Jobtrainingcenter.org. Okay, thank you guys so much for coming on. Carrie, Dimitri, very interesting and very informative. I hope you found it that way too. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back in just a minute or so with the second half of our program.
Back with Rocky Slaughter, and he's going to be talking to us about how he's basically coming and trying to help our community kind of build up and revive Reading. So he is the co-founder of Sugar Pine Media and also the co-chair of Revive Reading, which you may know from Measure B. And tell us a little bit about how you're kind of turning that around to, now that Measure B is over, you're turning that around to make it into something else for the community.
Sure. So I was extremely excited when Revive kind of took off on Facebook. That's all it was. It was a simple Facebook page that started when the community was kind of trying to come together to move us forward.
Yeah.
It happened overnight. I didn't think, I just kind of ran with it. I didn't think it was going to, I didn't wake up one morning and say, I'm going to be the leader of this campaign. And when I saw all the community excitement and the momentum, I hadn't seen anything like that before.
You gotta ride it.
So not only did we, pass Measure B and get the hotel that's going to start to be built in July, they're going to break ground there. And that's, I think, going to be a very significant step forward for our community because it kind of raises the tier for this place. It's a destination. I mean, it's a 4-star hotel and all that kind of stuff. And I'd like to see that be the catalyst for downtown Reading and that riverfront area.
It's a jewel
really
sitting there waiting to be
really
developed.
is.
And it sounds like the Kutrases are interested in that, in making that happen. So in conjunction with the Turtle Bay
That
connection.
would be amazing, so we can have a little something on our river.
Right. So the important thing about momentum is to not let it die.
Absolutely.
So we're trying to take the group and pivot it in a direction that allows us to help economic vitality here. And so I think there's other groups that work on this too, like the Chamber, the EDC. We're trying to take this from a different angle. So so like when the EDC goes out to try to get business, for example, they kind of do what I like to call buffalo hunting, where they try to get the big companies in so that they bring the jobs. One of the problems that they're facing is that when they do go to these big companies, they come in and they say, well, we don't really have a skilled workforce to work with. So we're trying to answer that other side of the equation, which is develop the talent, get Reading to be a place where talent wants to live.
Okay, yes.
And I think this is really significant because one thing I've said before is our chief export in Reading is highly qualified high school students.
We go to college and never come home.
Well, which is a great thing. I mean, the college part, but we'd like to get them back. So, and we've got some of the best schools in California. I mean, award-winning. When I was at Shasta, it was top 1,000 school, and then UPrep keeps getting awards and all that kind of stuff. So we're almost, feeding into the problem we're having by educating our kids. So we need to embrace that and find a way to bring them back. So there's a couple different programs I'm working on to try to do that.
Are you going to share some of those with us today?
I think that's what I'm going to do.
Okay, let's hear. I want to hear.
Can we go back? Because I just interrupted you because I really want to know. I mean, many of you watching remember Rocky from when he was in high school at Shasta, and he was instrumental in this big push to get soda back in the soda machines, right?
That's that's how
he got national attention for that, and you might remember that. And then he went off to Boston, went to college, came, and then he comes back to Reading. And so my question when I saw Rocky was back, and of course he came back with a splash, was what is he doing back in Reading? I don't know. He's not a doctor, he's not an attorney. What on earth is he going to be doing for a living, and why did he come back? So address that, because I think it's interesting that now you're promoting opportunities for other like-minded young people, talented like you, to come back, which would be fabulous.
Right. So I kind of look at Reading as a place where it has great future potential.
Absolutely.
And if we get some young professionals that come back here, we have a lot more ability to shape things here and actually have an impact on the future. Put your dent in the world that everyone wants to create. That when people are considering their purpose in life. It's a lot easier to do here because there's not a ton of.
It's not saturated.
It's not saturated.
It's a small pond.
It's
and it's a small pond.
But when it's a small pond like that, I think that you're right, that you have more of an ability to shape the way you want your community to work. Because with more small businesses, there are probably more entrepreneurs nowadays than there ever were before. And you can come here and you can make it work. So from my perspective, as I'm not from Reading, so from my perspective, I always think, well, why wouldn't you come back?
Sure.
Especially when you're doing something that you don't depend on the economy to make it work. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's with the advent of the internet and everything, all communications tools are going crazy right now. I mean, we can do anything from anywhere in this world. So why not do it in the most beautiful place to live that is got a really high standard of living? So I see Reading becoming a very desirable, vital, vibrant place. So I kind of just love.
So what are your ideas?
What are my ideas? Let's see. Let's talk about something that might be going on this summer. This is kind of a recent development, and not all the details have been worked out. So I'm gonna be kind of cryptic. But one of the things that people talk about when it comes to Reading is the heat. And
you can't be that cryptic.
I'm going somewhere. So usually we try to stay out of the heat and all that kind of stuff. I think we should actually embrace it and have a Refresh Reading festival that may or may not include a 1,000-foot water slide on Placer.
Oh, down Placer?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I love it. What? Sign me up. Sign me and my kids up.
So I don't want to make any promises that are, because I just heard the Public Works Department at the City of Reading just kind of cringe a little bit, but no, they know about it, and I think we're going to try to work through this. So
can you explain to me what this actually would entail?
Sure.
Just a little bit of it. I mean,
so this would be like a large festival where everyone gets together to cool off in drought-sensitive ways. I got to be very descriptive.
Important.
Yeah, exactly. So we're thinking like a water balloon tournament, various activities to cool down, and really the whole purpose of this is to say that there is something happening in Reading, and when people are sharing things on Facebook or Instagram that But when you're talking to other young professionals outside the area, they kind of look at this place and they go, whoa, something's changing.
Right.
There's some momentum, there's a groundswell. And Reading can be a place that you're proud to live in. And many of us are already proud, but we need to share that pride with the rest of the world and the people that are leaving our community to go to college and that kind of stuff.
So what other things, like what drew you back?
What drew me back was just, my connections and everything from being here in my hometown, but also just that drive to help change things. I think that's a lot more meaningful than being like the richest guy in the cemetery at the end of the day, or like, having the most impressive job or the most impressive car or anything like that. If you have a legacy of continued improvements that you've been making in your community and you care about your impact, that's what drove me back. I know a lot of people aren't necessarily hardwired that way, so I'm trying to bring them back with other interesting cultural assets and that kind of thing.
Right.
So one other program that we're trying to put together is a fellowship program, which is sort of like a scholarship but reversed. Okay. So if you think of, we're sending people to college, and that's kind of the issue, which, great issue to have. We want them to come back, but instead of paying them to go to college, we're paying them to come back. So they've got a lot of student debt. And that kind of thing. And there's a program out of Detroit that we're actually trying to kind of mimic. It's called it's called Challenge Detroit. And they set these students up with a job that's 2-3 days a week, and then the rest of the time these students come in and they're trying to build the community in various projects. One of these things could be the Refresh Reading Festival, that kind of stuff. So I think that's kind of a really smart way to look at it. Basically, we're just delaying the payment on scholarships. So people are already giving scholarships. There's foundations, businesses, etc. We're just saying, instead of giving it when they're 18, give it when they're
scholarship them to come home,
right,
and entice them to come home. And so do they earn money, extra money, or what is the connection with their student debt?
So the scholarships would pay down their student debt, and we're also looking at some way to offset the cost of housing or get a facility. This is very in its infant stage,
but the 2 to 3 days that they're working on the community is basically their way of repaying that scholarship that they just earned, right? Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Okay. And every year we'd have a class of 20 to 30 people.
Yeah, I think
and over time, it's going to have a nice domino effect, I think.
I think that's a fantastic idea.
I do too. And now, have you talked to business owners? Like, I am assuming they would work with a business owner, or would this be they would be entrepreneurs, or what's the?
I haven't gotten to that stage just yet, but I know that there's a lot of businesses around, especially in the professional services industry, like accountants, lawyers, doctors, etc. They can't necessarily hire a full-time lawyer.
Whatever it is.
But they would definitely. We just talked about that in the.
But they need the skill set.
Right.
That's exactly.
It's like the mentoring. It's like such a win-win on so many levels. I'm thinking like of the architecture firms. They need getting a young architect to come to Reading when they're getting offers from San Francisco or wherever. And then this would be a way to
subsidize. Exactly.
And entice.
Right. Yeah. And then these people can be on a kayak on the weekends and not in traffic.
Refresh Reading up and running. Water balloons.
Exactly.
Well, and don't you think people are really looking more for lifestyle? I think your age and people coming out of college now, they're looking not just for a 9 to 5. I think they're looking for a lifestyle.
Right.
So we're kind of on the cutting edge of that. We've always had lifestyle in Reading. That's always been the draw for this community.
There's sort of a demographic shift. Like I think my parents' generation, their parents, they always moved for the job.
Yes.
And now I think people are moving to where they want to live and then try to make money.
Creating or finding.
And I think more people want to come back to Reading, honestly. Being with someone
your husband did the same thing.
Came back to Reading, and but also his industry was here,
right?
But the other thing is, you have family here,
right?
So people want to come back and be near their family. That's one enticing, reason to come back. But now on top of that, to say, hey, anywhere you start, you're probably going to start at the bottom. So why start at the bottom in San Francisco and live in a little square when you could come up here and have a nice quality? I think it's actually a really good idea, like getting people on board. And there are so many organizations that give scholarships. If you could convince them to do it on the back end, or even help the kids in college when they first start. If you help them in high school. Sorry, we should have like a brainstorming session. I feel like that's what we just turned into.
Yeah.
Okay, but you know what I'm saying? Like start them in high school where you're helping them now, get the scholarship, and then you'll have one on the back end waiting for them when they come back.
Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like double
know,
it. Okay,
well,
so
'cause that
the
would be-
interesting thing to me here with you is that here's Rocky Slaughter. He's a kid who had great ideas and he turned it into life-changing things for many, many people, many of us. So thank you, Rocky, for doing that. I know a lot of people would like to know how to do it. I'm sure, Rocky, find him on Facebook,
Yeah,
right? The
Revive
best way,
Reading,
revivereading.com. And he is the most friendly person. He'd love to talk to you about ways of being connected. Am I right? I just put those words in your mouth.
I know. I was thinking that. I'm like, I hope you want to talk to everybody.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
We absolutely need people. So, I mean, anyone that wants to participate, they can sign up and Revive.
What can they
there's
do with?
website.
So
We're out of
you're out of
time. What
Okay.
a show. Both
Sorry.
segments today we were out of time on. So thanks for watching the forum. Rocky, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me on.
The Tehama people earlier was fabulous. That's it for today. And we'll see you next time on the forum.